if anybody's questioning Joe, should they do it? Should the Bengals protect him against himself? Just listen to his 30 seconds there, and that question is totally gone.
He wants to be out there. Okay, Dan, Mina, Marcus here for the hour. Glad to be with you guys. What will you be looking for out of Burrow, though, in his return?
Yeah, how does he walk the line between I want to play as well as I can and certainly well enough to win, while also being conscious of coming off of the injury and not wanting to get hurt? And I would say more often than not, for quarterbacks to play great in football games against really good defenses, you got to stand in there. You got to be able to wait in that pocket, hang in the pocket, deliver the football, and take shots. And I don't know if Joe's going to be wanting to do that. I'm sure internally he's going to, but it's just that line of being smart enough to understand, like, I can't take that many hits, and the awareness of coming off of the injury while also, okay, fourth quarter, we're down 5. I got to do whatever it takes to win. How is he going to move around that stuff? I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, important injury note, too. No T. Higgins or Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals in this one, but Burrow is going to be back. As for the other quarterback in this game, after missing yesterday's walkthrough with a toe injury, Lamar Jackson was out on the practice field today getting ready for Cincinnati, complete with the purple helmet the team will wear on Thursday night. He's trying that out. Head coach John Harbaugh acknowledged Lamar hasn't been perfect, but likes what he sees late in games.
I feel like Lamar's playing winning football in games that you have to find a way to do what's required to win the game, you know, and that's different in every game. And he's been doing that, you know, whether, you know, sometimes you take some things for granted, you know, you protect the football or you operate the right way, you know, or you get us down the field. I mean, we've had some key drives at the end of the game, second half and fourth quarter, that have been game winners for us in offense. So it's like, well, you know, you may be referring to, you know, quote unquote gaudy stats and things like that, but how about the fourth quarter stats? You know, I think Lamar's got a 144 quarterback rating in the fourth quarter when the game needs to be won, and that's when these games have needed to be won in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. So that's probably the most important stat.
I mean, he's right. But look at this. Jackson averaging career worst in rush yards per game and sack percentage this season. Since returning from injury in Week 9, Jackson has rushed for just 71 yards. That's his fewest rush yards in any 4-game span of his career. So it's like, okay, so what's going on with Lamar? And Mina, I turn that question to you. What do you think is happening here with him?
Well, the injuries have clearly affected his athleticism. You see the rushing stats there. It's obvious when you watch as well. But I think the more alarming thing to some extent is how uncomfortable he looks throwing from inside the pocket. Over the last 4 weeks, according to FTN Fantasy, which tracks this, on first reads, he's 32nd in accuracy. Put that in context, last year he was second behind only Joe Burrow. And it's not like Lamar Jackson has suddenly become an inaccurate pocket passer, particularly on quick throws. To me, I suspect these things are tied together. Him knowing that he can't escape pressure the way he is accustomed to doing is clearly affecting his entire process within the pocket. Perhaps there are mechanical issues affected by the injury as well, but he's just not been himself as a pocket passer. That said, you're going up against the Cincinnati Bengals defense that can be had, that is giving up 90 yards a game to tight ends, so there will be opportunities there. But I do want to see Lamar look better within the pocket, setting aside the athleticism.
No Trey Hendrickson either.
Yeah, that helps. I've talked for a couple weeks now since Lamar's come back about this past game just looking sloppy, not crisp, and that still showed up this past week. But I will say the overwhelming thing is I have never seen Lamar Jackson get tackled more in one-on-one situations than I have since he's come back. This is 2 weeks ago. I think it's the first snap of the game for Baltimore. This is one-on-one with the rookie linebacker. It's a 1-yard loss. You cannot find clips like that in Lamar's past. This is this past Sunday, 3rd and 5 in the red zone. He breaks. Right now you think, here he's gone. This is going to be a touchdown. 3rd and 5, there's certainly a first down. No yard gain, one-on-one out in space. 2nd and 10, down in the red zone. Once again, climb the pocket. We've seen Lamar turn this into touchdowns. He's going to turn this into a 2-yard gain against a linebacker? I just have very rarely seen Lamar Jackson. I have watched Lamar get tackled more one-on-one this year than I have in his whole career. I think he's got 2 runs this year that have gone for longer than 10 yards. Lamar Jackson. So you're just not seeing him make people miss in space as a runner. Designed runner scrambles. Nearly what we have in the past. Well, against the Cowboys, it looked like they were unprepared for what Dallas was going to do from a defensive line perspective. Certainly on early downs, Dallas got into a 5-man front, and it just created terrible angles for the Eagles' offensive run game. And then in the pass game, the addition of Quinnen Williams has completely changed the way you go about it. So the 5-man front, they were taking these defensive linemen and kind of going man on man. And the overwhelming thing is going to be penetration. The center gets beat. I think that's a very difficult block versus Quinnen Williams. Once again, shotgun, Eagles still way too much, 5-man front. Now this time, can Saquon cut back there? Was he not expecting a 5-man front? He continues to chase Dickerson all the way to the sideline. I thought there was a seam there. The right tackle, 5-man front, right tackle gets beat. This is pretty good blocking when it comes to the backside. Is there another cutback lane? The right tackle gets beat. So I just thought they looked unprepared for the 5-man front in the run game. And I want to get Marcus's perspective on the pass game stuff too, because the pass game stuff has really gotten really good understanding of some of the wide 3 technique. We'll get into that later. But I just thought they looked unprepared, and it was almost like each guy took his turn. Right tackle gets beat. Everyone else did their job. Center got beat. Everyone else did his job. Left guard got beat. Everyone else did his job. Saquon missed a cut or two. The only thing I would end on is this. For people who are saying this run game struggling because of Saquon, you're lying. That's not actually true. This is an offensive line issue.
Yep. And then you mentioned that 5-man front. That's a bear front. That's what we call that on defense. And what it does is it takes your guards away from being able to be pullers. It creates havoc because you are getting penetration upfield. Y'all have heard me talk about that before. That is the go-to in order to stop the run, or at least it was during my time in the league. And that's why I think the Philadelphia Eagles need to become a little bit more nuanced. They're going to see this again. They are definitely going to see this again. And the Bears are not the greatest run defense team, but you gotta feel good going into this game if you're the Chicago Bears based on what you've seen on film, and you may see some of that copycat. But I think Philly needs to find space again and try to create some angles and try to create some explosives outside of the line of scrimmage beyond handing the football off. And I don't know, Dio, if that's motion. I don't know if that's moving Saquon out and putting him in some screen situations. We talked about this a little bit in the green room with the bunches. I asked you, how hard is that to install or implement just a couple wrinkles? That's the word that comes to mind with the Philadelphia Eagles, because you still look on the field and it's still a tremendous amount of talent at these skill positions. It just feels like they need to be set up pre-snap a little bit better and try to create some explosives and some angles to this offense in order to get their guys in space. I know we've talked about it ad nauseum with AJ, running the same routes, always one-on-one. I don't know. I've never been in an offensive install meeting. I don't know how hard that is to do, but it seems to me that they need to find some more space. They are playing super condensed right now when it comes to their run game.
So they've got the Bears run defense, which is kind of a hilarious matchup when you think about it. Movable force meets stoppable object. Who's going to be worse? I'll focus on the Bears side of this because I was watching them against the Steelers yesterday. Just get under center and you can run on them. And the Steelers put 6 offensive linemen on the field, a bunch. Sometimes they even had Anderson, the 6 offensive linemen in the backfield, which was a fun twist. And they were just moving bodies. The Bears are also down their starting linebackers, and they attacked that pretty relentlessly. The Eagles' offensive line is not as good as run blocking at the Steelers' offensive line, which is a wild but accurate statement in 2025. I still think if they go under center, and I would consider mixing in that 6 offensive linemen again, Saquon can get his, because that's the Bears' second level of that defense right now is not reading the run right. They can be out leveraged, so there will be opportunities. And then the other thing I'll add, the Bears have struggled all year long with QB runs. I think about the Giants, Jackson Dart. The crucial Ravens game, Tyler Huntley ran all over them. So there should be opportunities there for Hurts as well, running with the football.
Yeah, not to continue to beat the point home. Philly, if you're not going to run Jalen Hurts that much and you're not going to do that many RPOs, please stop living in the shotgun. And the number one reason why the run game has struggled is because you consistently allow penetration. The best way to get away from allowing penetration is go underneath the center and run double teams.
The teams that have given Detroit trouble, the Detroit offense, have done a few things. One, interior pressure. You saw that in New York, the defensive tackles working the guards in particular. 2, you have to take away Goff's or cloud his throwing lanes over the middle of the field off of play action, show him color when he turns his back. And then 3, you got to eliminate Jahmyr Gibbs as an outlet by blitzing him in some cases or covering him when he leaks out. Unfortunately for Detroit, Green Bay can do all of those things at a high level, and unlike the Giants, they can also defend outside zone. They actually have allowed only 2.8 yards per carry on outside zone this year, which is a big part of the reason why Jahmyr Gibbs struggled in that Week 1 matchup. I think for the Lions, you have to do a couple of things. If you're going to run a lot of under center play action, it's got to be heavily blocked up. And I also think you might want to lean a little bit more on quick game, not the under center play action, because Green Bay, your best matchup advantage in this is your receivers against the Packers' corners. The question is just, how do you get Jared Goff enough time and comfort to actually take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think if you're Detroit, the biggest concern is where's Waldo, essentially, with Micah Parsons. The Packers and Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator, have started to use Micah the way that the Browns in the past have used Myles Garrett, okay? So they're going to take their 4 defensive linemen and spread them out. So here's these 1, 2, and 3 defensive linemen, and then they're taking Micah Parsons, and they're really stacking him over that center. Remember, Myles Garrett last year doing the crossover. So here's the challenge defensively, or offensively. Micah can really have a 3-way go here. Sometimes he'll shoot over that guard. Sometimes he'll just go right up, head up on that center, or sometimes he'll go backside gap. So the problem from us as an offensive perspective is we have to, because he can go in any of those 3 locations, we have to commit 3. So when we commit 3, what it is well, they can go 1-on-1, and once again, they can go 1-on-1. So as a defense, I am now creating one-on-ones for my edges, and Micah's whole goal in timing this up on the road will be the biggest challenge. Because I have to commit those 3 internal parts, his goal is to just destroy the middle of the pocket. I mean, that's a goal accomplished right there. We have bodies on the floor from an offensive perspective, and there's that one-on-one matchup on the perimeter. I have to chip here. Micah's going through the double team, but the chaos in the middle of the pocket basically ruins the play immediately. That's the weakest point of where Detroit's offensive line is, and all of a sudden the havoc created by that pass rush allows the defense to get that safety in the end zone. That's the concern. Detroit's interior offensive line has been bad, and Micah having the ability to roam and pick his spot, and you having to commit the numbers to that one person, that stresses an offensive unit.
It's really good.
Dan, that's phenomenal. This needs to be a throwback game for the Detroit Lions. This needs to be 25, 30 runs. And the reason being is because when you look at Green Bay, look, my daughter's playing SEC championship volleyball tonight, right?
Let's
and
go,
what they
Kari.
do in volleyball is when you have your best player, they serve her. They serve to her to try to wear her out throughout the duration of the game. That's exactly what I'm doing to Micah Parsons all game long. And if you and Mina remember this, y'all remember when he was in Dallas, teams would do that. They would target him in the run game, get a lot of bodies on him early. And I think that needs to be the mode that that obviously Detroit is in. You want to push the ball down the field. Mina is exactly right. There are some explosive plays to be made against this defense, but I think this needs to be a Dan Campbell, make this a brawl for Micah Parsons in particular. Now, it's not that Green Bay won't be stout at times, but you have to be committed enough to it. So when you get into that 4th quarter, there is a thought that they may be coming at me. And the opportunities that you get when he stands up, Dan, is sometimes you may have to sacrifice and just tee off and just go directly at them and just make them think about it. That was the thing about Minnesota. They gave him nothing else to think about other than pinning his ears back in time in the snap.
What will be the key for this Cowboys defense against that Chiefs offense?
Interior pressure. Listen, when you play Pat Mahomes right now, and I talked about this on Monday, Boogie, Pat Mahomes is in playoff mode. So not only is it about being able to get pressure, and that's a phenomenal opportunity for Quinnen Williams and Oseo Digizua, but it's also about making sure your rush plan is correct to not let him break your back on some of these 3rd down runs and creating. At times, I would love to see, D.O., you mentioned it, a 5-man rush. At times, I would love to see you try to get those guys isolated. Andy Reid ran the ball 30 times the last game. He understands that they need to be a team that can run the football or at least have it in your mind. Dallas needs to take care of the run, and then hopefully they can get the interior pass rush going with an idea that Pat Mahomes will break out of this pocket and start using his legs as he ramps this up every single year, getting closer and closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, so way that this defense has changed since the addition of Quinnen Williams is that 5-man front. We'll see if it's just about Philly last week, because Philly looked completely unprepared for it on early downs. And then pass situations, wide 3 techniques. So the 5-man front, Marcus, for me, it just screams go upfield, penetrate, penetrate, penetrate. They're just trying to go one-on-one penetrate. And then in those pass situations, those wide 3 techniques in those internal games, him and Odigizua just creating just problems. The internal games and the way that they are eating up the inside, that's why there was such exterior pressure on the Eagles front. And I think that, we were waiting to see the impact of Quinnen. Marcus, I mean, before Mina pops in, do you think that's an intentional thing since the addition of Quinnen?
Oh, 100%. And listen, Dan, it's really about – so if you look at Dallas before Quinnen showed up, the center actually would choose what side to help with the guard.
Yeah.
That's no longer. You got to go to Quinnen Williams immediately whenever your pass protection calls for it. So it creates those seams. It gives you an opportunity to run those games. And that's why you've seen the uptick in OC's game, because now he's benefiting not only off Quinnen Williams double teams, but he's also benefiting from being an insert guy when they are running games for Quinnen to come and wrap around.
Yeah, the 5-man front versus the run game stuff, I think it'll be fascinating to see if Kansas City's ready for it. But those games, when they're in those wide 3 techniques on the guard center, those guard shoulders, it's hard to pick up from an offensive line perspective with those 2 interior guys.
Crazy the difference one player makes.
Trey Smith also wasn't playing. Guys, Trey Smith, the Chiefs' best guard, is not playing in this game. So there's potential for that to be a huge mismatch that favors the Dallas team that now has one of the best interior pass rushes in the NFL. But it will not be a mismatch if Dallas sits in a soft zone. I'm going to tell you right now, if they play soft zone, Mahomes is going to have like a 2.53 second time to throw, and they're just going to carve him up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Travis Kelce, over and over. I know playing man is a little bit of a scary proposition, and we saw the Colts ultimately did get burned by it, but I have to think Dallas mixes in some man coverage. They have to disrupt the timing of these receivers. They cannot let Travis Kelce simply work his way up and down the field against them. And they were actually playing a bit more man coverage. I think last week you go zone heavy because you got the Eagles, but before then, Eberflus was playing a little bit more man coverage, and I think there's some confidence now with that pass rush. I am telling you, they have to play some against this Chiefs team, otherwise they're not going to get off the field.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
MK. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Marcus. Go.
That is why I think DeMarion Overshawn is the most important player in this game.
I love that.
Go ahead, Dio.
His speed, I agree with Marcus. His speed has changed this defense. I agree with the MK's point with the man. I just don't know who they have that you feel comfortable matching up against Rasheed.